Cognito by Entrepreneurship Cell, BMCC.
They say it is in the roots, not the branches, that a tree's greatest strength lies. In our first episode of Cognito, we are lucky to have the wonderful Ms. Srilekha Ati. She is a founder of cityspeaks.org and was able to find a strength in her roots, and is indeed a great example of the belief that if you want to see a change, start where you are and with whatever you have, because every effort towards a change counts.
What sparked the idea behind City Speaks?
Well, it's the entire journey that I've had, right, so far. From my childhood till date. And to sum it up, I think it would be pretty difficult, but I'll try. Okay, let me put it this way. There are two ways to think about it. One is your professional motivations and then personal journey. And the second one is your take on your professional self and, the space that you are engaging with. When it comes to personal motivations, I come from small towns and tier 2 cities. So when I, went to these metropolitan cities for education, one thing my mom kept saying is, for better opportunities, you need to move to big cities. And you have to, do certain things that are very, very, very necessary. For example, leaving your family and moving somewhere else, right, for studies, for job, and then figuring out life all by yourself. So for me, my thoughts started there. Why are opportunities so concentrated only in big cities? Because majority of the big cities now are overpopulated. Why? Then you will start thinking, right, the opportunities need to be in across all the cities or your country in general, right? That's the first thing that I felt was not okay when I was reflecting. I left my first job. I was traveling across the length and breadth of this city, right? And what I realized is, revisiting my hometown, revisiting all the places where I had done my schooling, they're all the same, still the same. They haven't changed drastically. So maybe the outlook of the people have changed, but the cities majorly remain the same. So in terms of infrastructure, facilities, otherwise. So that sort of again, piqued my interest as to why why should it take so long to make a difference in the infrastructural facilities of these tier 2, tier 3 cities or towns. Then came my personal other motivations. Like, I didn't personally like the struggle that I had to put up when I was in Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai, otherwise, right? So I felt, when it comes to the peace of mind, the pace of my life, I wanted a slow pace. I'm not a person who really appreciates too much of competition. I'm not a very competitive person. I like it when things are very smooth and, like I said, relaxed. So I wanted to stay close to my hometown, and be with my parents, because that's what I missed to begin with. From my childhood, I had to stay away for education. So that's again something that I wanted to fulfill. And then there are so many other personal reasons why I started City Speaks, because of the person I am and the experiences I've had in my personal life. The professional self, when I talk about public policy, governance, that's what I did in my master's, right? And that sort of gave me a whole lot of other experiences, including the work that I had done during my Miranda House time, right? When I told you that I worked with so many clubs, so many organizations, non-profit organizations, think tanks, I realized a lot of work, if you see, is concentrated in big cities only. And the problems, the whatever we want to understand is majorly either big cities or the rural spaces. Tier 2, tier 3 cities are something that's completely ignored, I would say, and they're growing all by themselves. And it is important that we have more people focusing on tier 2, tier 3 cities, is what I've felt. Okay, so the problems or the development or the way it is happening, for me, I particularly per se don't understand macro things. So when I was studying public policy, it is easy to look at a macro picture. You know, for me, it was not. All my peers could understand macro pictures. For me, it was again, when I was trying to connect Miranda House journey and APU's journey, it made me feel that there's a lot of difference, because at Miranda I was mostly focusing on grassroots. I was focusing on working with communities, and trying to understand communities and do good, right? Do execute programs that came from organizations and otherwise. But in APU, it was completely different experience. I was focusing on macro elements, trying to understand government, how government acts, why it acts in the way it acts. So for me, there was somewhere I wanted to connect it, and that bridge I felt was urban governance or cities, because I come from a city. I didn't want to work in a rural setting, okay, because that would mean that I have to for the rest of my life I would have to be there, and I don't know how that would sit well with my parents. So it is that interest that cities are the smallest units, wards are the smallest administrative units that I could focus on, which is of my capacity. I can understand only that much, right? For me, I cannot change entire India. I cannot talk big and do nothing. So for me, I wanted to stay with my parents in my neighborhood, focus on the people that I know, understand them, and do something for them, because then I could see the impact myself, and for me that mattered a lot, right? And that is something that I could comprehend easily. In the little lifespan that I have, I think that is what I want to do. I would want to develop my neighborhood and my city, and if I'm able to do that, then it's a big deal for me. I don't want to talk about India. I think it's something that I it's too abstract, right? It's so vast. Having traveled, I realized you can never
Right.
talk about India. uh I mean, you can keep talking however much you want, but if you really want to do something, then you have to start small, start where you are, like they say, locally, and then link it globally. So act local, think global is what I'm trying to do, if I have to put it in a very short way, right? So that's how my personal motivations, professional goals and motivations have actually come together. I really want to work with the government, but a local government. I want to work with people in my neighborhood. I want to stay at home. I want to enjoy the relaxed life. I want to create those smiles for the people and make their life even more easier, simpler, happier by being with them, surrounding them, and seeing something happen in the neighborhood that I am in, right? So if at all I am able to achieve this, I think the other cities can be easily covered. So there have been a lot of people who came forward to have city speaks in their respective cities, and they want to work. Like, I'm focusing on the east coast cities, starting with mine, and then Kakinada, which is about 3 hours from here. It's also a smart city. So if you ask how City Speak started, that's how it started.
So please tell us about how your team actually operates and how many of you are there right now.
Okay. So when I talk about my core team, I do not have one right now. I have been operating my entire team on a voluntary pro bono basis. I think City Speaks model is very unique that way. All of the work that we have been doing in the last 1.5 year is majorly through associates, volunteers, interns, which I'm very grateful for, right? City Speaks is a very budding organization. It's very new, and the growth of which has actually been seen only during the pandemic, right? I got a lot of work done on a remote basis because of all the brilliant students like you who joined me in this journey. So since it has been mostly during pandemic that we were working, most of the work was remote, like I mentioned. And how do we operate, as in, is there anything else in particular that you'd like to know?
Yes, definitely. So when you mentioned that you were working remotely as it was pandemic, can you tell me what were some of the key major parts in your organization that were affected during the pandemic or due to the pandemic?
Okay, so
Or like something that changed after the lockdown?
okay, so I must tell you one thing. One big advantage that pandemic has given, or pandemic has got to me, is that I was able to work, right? Because more, like I said, the team has expanded, or I have seen a lot of students coming joining me only during the pandemic. Okay, it could be of various reasons, but what I believed was that the pandemic has been a major positive, had a major positive impact on City Speaks than negative one, right? There were, I mean, the first and foremost to any organization is its visibility for the work that it does, or the vision that it has. So when you are getting that visibility, and your vision is actually been validated by all the students, there's nothing like it. So I would focus on the positive aspect of it than the downside. All right. So that's one big positive. The second thing, if you want me to say, no, Srilekha, but tell us how your operations were affected, I would say I had started with like projects, proper projects for Vishakhapatnam, right? One is to understand the recurring road accidents in Vishakhapatnam, and the other one is to understand the child mobility plan, or to prepare a child mobility plan. So both of these projects, I started it, however I had to put a halt to it. And since City Speaks is a research organization, during the pandemic, the entire importance of different things have changed, right? We have looked at life so differently, what matters, what does not matter. Everything has changed. So the focus of what my research should be is also something that I had to rethink during the pandemic. So think about it. Someone who is starting their venture with an idea, and that idea has to be, constantly rethought during the pandemic, it's a lot. So you don't know as an entrepreneur what works, what does not anymore. Do you have to refocus entirely, or shift your focus for some time? How do you have to go about it? How do you align it with your longer goals and objectives and your interests, your vision? Everything sort of changed. So I had to manage how COVID sort of affects cities, and then get more involved with COVID related things um, than my own interest areas. So it was very difficult to align those or bridge those, because we were just starting and we were just launching, right? So refocusing was a big problem. And yeah, so these two, one is team and the other one is refocusing on the entire um, operations, on the entire idea, is something that I felt was problematic.
Right, right. All right. I think I get what you mean.
Right.
So, Srilekha, what motivates you to do what you're doing right now? What fuels your passion?
That's an interesting question. Um, what fuels my passion or motivates me is just me, right? I I don't seek any energy from outside. Uh, I do what I want to do, and once I fall in love with it, I don't leave it. Uh, I love people. Let let's just say this directly. I just love people. That comes to me very naturally to love people. And since childhood, I have been a person who was raised by the entire colony, not just my mom, dad, but the entire colony. And being surrounded by so many people have always taught me that not even a single person is alike. There's so many. There's such a huge variety. You cannot expect the same response or interest or whatever from um, each person, right? That sort of kept me going to understand a lot more people. And when I was interacting, those conversations were very interesting. That this somehow taught me more than what I could have perhaps um, learned in my college or school. Because I think those conversations made me realize that uh, there's so much more to binaries in life. So life is all about the gray area. It's not 0 1, it's not right wrong. So I think that is something that pushed me to be with people, understand people, do whatever is possible for people. And there's whatever sort of good that I can do, probably. Again, I'm using the term good, pardon me. There's no better word that I can think of right now. Whatever good that I could do for people, I would want to do that. And those smiles, right? They sort of fill me up with a lot of hope, light, energy. So whatever motivation, passion that I have is just uh, is just coming from all the positive vibrations that I get from people when they smile. Those smiles mean a lot to me. And I think whatever I'm doing at City Speaks is also that, right? I'm letting the city speak for itself. And by that, I mean the citizens of the cities. I want them to speak. I want them to have their voices being heard somewhere. And 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 be able to fulfill their dreams and aspirations in whatever way that is possible, you know, and see that smile on their faces. That matters a lot. At the end of the day, then nothing else counts, right? All of us are chasing and looking for happiness and peace. That's all. So I'm getting too philosophical, but bear with me.
Mhm.
It's just that motivates me, that pushes me. Even one single smile a day can, make me run for 10 other, days at a stretch. That's how I am as a person. So yeah. And of course,
That's amazing.
my mom has always taught this to me from the beginning, right? To share things, to be able to visit places and see people who are less privileged, be with them. So whenever I see people with less privileges, or when I'm around them, that has always been motivating enough, because when you're coming from a point of privilege, it is easy to forget uh, how lucky you are, right? But when you go be with the less privileged, with less resources, surrounding yourself with nothing um, but you know uh, the idea that there's so much to life and there's so much that I should be grateful for, that is never something that I can forget, right? That is the reason why I would want to ensure that everybody is uplifted and be on the same page or same platform or level. It's important. It's important that they also have those privileges that I do. They be grateful for the things that I'm grateful for as well. Of course, not from the same perspective or the way I look at things, but generally, right? So the motivation and passion for things is smiles of the people and the love that I have for them. That's all.
Great. So I really like the part where you spoke about how spending time with less privileged ones made you realize and made you focus on how privileged we are. And it's so true how we can forget at times that and take things for granted. And I think I'm going to start taking a similar approach like you did. Everyone was once a child, and we would like to know what the college Srilekha looked like and what her day would have been.
Okay. My college is my temple, my home. Um, my college actually have given a rebirth or reshaped me as a person, right? So when I moved from Vishakhapatnam to Delhi, I studied in Miranda House, right, in Delhi University. Such a beautiful college, such a beautiful college. I cannot not think about those days and think about how I used to be in those days. And I want to, I always get back, or I always try to get back to that innocent self of me, right? Where I was so passionate and nothing seemed as a limit to me, right? Not even the sky. So for me, it was a 1 second, 1 second. Huh?
Hmm. No worries.
Yeah. So I'm sorry about that. Uh,
Even I'll take a break. We'll have to re-record it.
yeah. All right.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
So
It was going amazing though.
all right. So Dakshi,
Or else you can actually continue it.
Dakshi, as I started, so let me just continue.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I moved from Vishakhapatnam to Delhi, and I studied in Miranda House. It's it's one of the most beautiful colleges in the country, right? I instantaneously fell in love with it. Um, my college was my second home, mm, and it it reshaped me as a person. It built me as a person, the individual I am today, right? There's so much passion that was filled with in every student in that college that I came across. I was so fortunate that I stepped into that college. I met the people that I did, right? So many learnings, which I literally revisit every day that I feel low. Because when I was in that college, not even sky was the limit. Nothing seemed unachievable, unattainable. It was so unstoppable. I was so unstoppable, right? So if you ask me one day how I spent my day there, a sneak peek would be I would wake up, rush to the class, come out of it as soon as possible, engage in so many brilliant activities, interact with hundreds of students, right? I would be, involved with so many clubs just like you are. And I worked with, organizations outside the college as well. So during my college time, I worked with approximately 16 organizations or so, both student led, think tank, NGOs. So my day would be so packed that I would literally sleep for about 3 hours or 4 hours. That too, 4 hours is, I'm stretching that. But I never felt like sleeping because I felt, I was achieving or I was trying to achieve all my dreams there. Um, Fulfilling them and living every day at Miranda was amazing. So those 3 years were just the most beautiful 3 years of my life. And I can never stop talking about it. Never. And I'm sure you wouldn't when it comes to your college, because I think that's how college is, right? That's the major part of your identity. I think
True.
being whatever I am, like I said, being aspirational, ensuring that I am not, stopping myself at any point. Because in Miranda, trust me, we were told that since it's a women's college majorly, not majorly, it's a women's college. So we were we were told that there's nothing that we can not do. So if it is a plumbing job, we were the ones to do it, right? There's no guy. So who would create any difference there, right?
Right.
So from the day one, I think we were just seen as human beings there, so with no
Hmm.
difference. And we had to do a lot of things all by ourselves. So I think that's the beauty of the college, to build women stronger and stronger and stronger with a lot of empathy, both rational and emotional. So, and yeah, that's about my day from the college and how I was, and how I immersed myself in different brilliant clubs and with different strong women that I'm fortunate to have met during my time there. Yeah.
Right. So 16 clubs, right? That
16
that has to be an
organizations,
achievement.
not clubs. I think I was
Okay.
part of 4 or 5 of them, if I can
Right.
recall. Yeah.
That's amazing. After your college days, can we now get a small insight about what an ordinary day in your life looks like now?
Sure. Mm, it's filled with a lot of work. It's more of the same. I chased my dreams, or I was living my dreams during that time, and so am I today, right? I had always thought about doing something independently, and at the same time, be occupied in the projects, passion projects by other people, which are meaningful contributions to the society. today my life is all that I had imagined, right? One, I work for City Speaks. So I do a lot related to the research that research for the cities that I work for and the projects that come in. That's one. Of course, talk to brilliant students like you. That's the second thing. Wherein, again, I get a lot of energy, and I get a lot of drive to do what I do. So yeah, this is one part of my life, right? Major part of my life. The second thing that I'm connected to is the startups that are working in the space of public policy and governance, right? So I have started working for them only recently, but I have started doing that because I understood, it's not easy to be an entrepreneur. You need a lot of like-minded people to also uh, establish or push the vision that you have, um, or or execute the vision that you have, right? So I wanted to share what I have learned as an entrepreneur, or um, an aspiring entrepreneur per se, the people who were starting. So I am very fascinated about new initiatives and organizations that want to do good work in the similar in this space. So in whatever form or capacity I can help, I do help, right? I do spend time. So there is a startup on transport, which is called Transport Review Forum. Then there is a startup which is Raisina House on international relations and diplomacy. There's one called Neti for Women, which is working as an incubator for women or aspiring women politicians. So there are multiple such initiatives that I'm part of, in their core team or otherwise in a voluntary position. So I try to help them on their projects. Apart from that, I'm a full-time employee with BITS Pilani Hyderabad campus, right? I'm working on a DST, BITS Pilani water management project. So again, that project has a lot to do with Vishakhapatnam, Jaipur, Madurai. So that which is actually coinciding with my work at City Speaks and aligns with my objectives at City Speaks. So I thought, why not learn from professors and contribute in this project. So there are too many things, too many commitments at this point, which I'm fulfilling. So yeah, I'm also a partner at Gandhi Fellowship, right? So there are very many interests that I have. I try to accommodate those interests on a day-to-day basis. So what does a day in Srilekha's life look like? Filled with a lot of work and wonderful people, wonderful souls who want to do great things for society, right? And see those smiles that I want to see. So yes, that's how my day is packed and looks like.
So, how far has your startup helped you in self development?
Well, see, entrepreneurship is a lot about self development because you have to do a lot of reflective exercises on yourself, with yourself, and for the vision that you have. So if you ask me how it helped me a lot because for entrepreneurship you need to put aside a lot of your assumptions. You have to be so rigorously practicing how to unlearn, relearn, because there's so much passion that you have with the idea that you are invested in, that you cannot really think beyond. You don't tend to. So for me, I take a lot of breaks. I sit with myself. I understand as to if City Speaks is what I really imagined it to be, or is it actually doing what it should do? It should be doing, right? So there are multiple times I I realized how stubborn I am, right? So I have to put aside all that stubbornness and sit and think so hard that think from others' point of view as well, right? Because City Speaks is not about me. City Speaks is about the people that I'm working for or going to work with. So in that case, it should not be dominated by me as much as it is even today, right? So there's a lot of self introspection that goes into when you are an entrepreneur, and it teaches you as a person how to be more humble, polite, how to rediscover yourself, how to unlearn what you have learned so much during the course of all these years in your education system. And also at the same time, it teaches you how to be more empathetic in general, right? Because you have to constantly put yourself in the shoes of other people. You cannot afford to not do that. So I think so there's a lot of self development when it comes to you know my entrepreneurship journey, what it had, the kind of things that it left on me. I'd like to point, Dakshish, I take pride in doing things all by myself. Okay, I think that's what our value system or families have taught us in general in India, that you do it all by yourself, है ना, खुद के पैर पे खड़े होके दिखाओ. But it is not necessary all the time.
Hmm.
You know, khudgarz is a completely different thing. For us in Indian society, it is important. It is very, very important that we understand where to ask and who to ask, when to ask, because asking is not common. Asking is something that we do not prefer, especially if you're coming from a middle class family, right? You would want to do it all by yourself, prove a lot of people, and that in entrepreneurship does not work. So for me, the biggest learning is from the last 2.5 3 years, I would say, is that I haven't asked. I never asked. And until and unless you put your ask, nobody is going to help you in your venture. And it is important to take help, because I cannot do all the tasks by myself. I wear at least 12 to 13 hats when I'm working as at City Speaks, be it HR, partnerships, grants, anything and everything is done by just me, solely by me. And it's not okay. So that's the biggest learning that I have had as a person, how I am, and how much it sort of made me realize that there's so many things that I have to unlearn about myself, and there's so many things that are not okay about me, which I have only was able to learn because I'm an entrepreneur, right? So yeah.